and then the color of it, and I'm going to choose yellow. Okay, so now let's take a look at how that works, and then I'll show you how it wouldn't work if we'd used our original way. When we click on it, you can see it's turned to yellow. When we click on the other one, you can see that also turns to yellow. However, they've both remained yellow. So now we have the problem that we want to create this to, change back to white. However, as I mentioned before, if we had used text like that, when we refresh, when I click on just the first one, you can see that they both change to yellow. Because we've selected text and not this, which will refer to the current field, it's changed both of the background colors to yellow. Okay, so now let's go ahead and use the blur out to, to remove this yellow once we've lost focus of the text fields. So inside of here we need to create a function. This is the blur event handler, and we want to do exactly the same thing, but this time we want to say .css, and we want to change the background color to white, or we could use #FFF depending on your choice. Okay, so this is the first part of the example application complete. You can see I've now clicked on it and it's turned yellow. When I move away, it goes back to white. So I can either click in and tab down, and then I can click away, or I can click on this one and tab up, and you'll see that we get the essentially the same effect. So or the correct effect. So now that we've got that sorted, we need to change the sign up button. So when we click on it, it disables and shows a please wait message. So let's go ahead and select the button element. So this would happen for all buttons on the current page. And because we're going to be using this, it doesn't actually matter what we do. It doesn't matter that we're only selecting all buttons on the page. So button.click, we need to apply a function to this. And inside of here, we need to change a few things. So the first thing we need to change is this.attra, which is going to change the attribute of the field. The attribute that we want to change is the field value. At the moment, the value is sign up. What we want to do is change the value to please wait. And then underneath here, we want to change it so we disable the button. So we'll do that in a moment. Once we've filled out the form entirely and we click sign up, it changes to please wait. However, we can still click on it. Now inside of here, you might want to add functions that validate the form on the front end, and then obviously in the back end of things you would validate again. You might also want to add functionality to actually submit the whole form itself. I'm not going to show you how to do that in that tutorial, but it's quite easy to look up. So the last thing that we want to do is go ahead and disable the button. So we use this.attra again, so we're changing an attribute. This time we're changing disabled to true, and we're not supplying this inside string, so it's not string data, it's Boolean data. So once we've filled out the form and we have these colors changing nicely, when we click sign up, the button's disabled and it says please wait. So in this example application, we've looked at form fields themselves and buttons themselves, and we're actually changing these based on an event using the CSS functionality. So like I've said before, this is extremely useful to implement into your site, because then this will apply for all forms that you actually create. So depending on what the form's for, it will achieve exactly the same effect. As well as this button as well. But like I mentioned before, you might want some kind of functionality in here to submit the current form, because obviously at the moment this button is just disabling itself and showing the text please wait.